one and only Curly Tani. And today we have a very special guest. Well, her name is Anna Clara. She's a teacher. She speaks five languages and she teaches three languages. So, well, Anna Clara. Hi, Anna. How are you?
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for inviting me for this call. And I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, and it's my pleasure. So, Anna, before we start, can you please tell us something about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm Anna, as you all know already. And I am a languages lover since I was 11 years old. And that was also when I discovered my passion for music. So I try to unite both of them so I can touch cultures all over the world and engage people throughout my music and languages.
All right, that's great. So now my first question to you is that how can a complete beginner start learning a second language?
A complete beginner, I think anyone should start with an open mind to learn not only a new language, but anything like removing your limits, your blocks, like your mental blocks. If you think that it's impossible, that will be. But if you think it's possible, it's completely possible. So a beginner should firstly be patient. So don't try to hurry up to the end right at the beginning. I think that's the most important thing. Don't try to read complex texts right at the beginning. Try to read a basic text and translate the words. And as your memory captures the meaning of each word, it will make sense later. I mean, having patience is really necessary in this process.
All right, that's great. So a student or learner should be patient and they should not have any mental block. They should be positive. Well, that's
Yes,
great.
that's true.
That's great. And uh, what is the best method for learning? Some people learn grammar, some people learn, you know, by reading books and newspaper, and some people watch movies. So, what is the best way by you to start learning a new language?
Well, that's really relative because each brain operates in a different form. So each person learns in a different way. So many people, they learn visually, like with visual graphs or images. But other people, they learn better with listening. And writing. So it really depends on the person. You cannot like try to copy everything other people do because you are unique. You cannot like try to imitate the other. So I recommend the person to test first for a week. What is the best? How they did they capture the meaning of words and how did they learn the most in the best way possible? As if for watching something or listening to something or writing something. First, we need to test. Like we need to run tests to know what is the most proper way to learn for that particular person because it's really personalized. It's not general. So, yeah.
All right, that's great. And when people learn, they have this hesitation, they shy. And how can they just overcome their shyness?
There are many ways to overcome the shyness. Well, it is also connected with the mental blocks. I mean, I think the negative thoughts really influence in anything in life, as you know. So if you are thinking that you're ridiculous and this and that, this is gonna block you. I think the first step is to remove and to twist these thoughts and think, I am possible, I can do this. Even if you don't believe it completely at first, you can try hard and do it. But you also can pretend to be an actor or like imitate someone if you think that makes it easier. But I think that thoughts is what messes up with everything. So changing the thoughts, the way you see yourself in the situation, it's what's gonna help you.
Oh, but I often see that when people try to change their thoughts, they have this contradiction between
Hmm.
what they believe already and what they want to believe. So
Exactly.
yeah, how to overcome this?
Yeah, that's true. This takes a little bit of work if you are too shy, for example. For me, I am an extrovert, so I don't have problem with this. Like you have to understand that making mistakes means that you're progressing, not the other way around. If you are committing mistakes, that means you are trying. So you have to implement this in your mind. I think that's possible for everyone to implement. We need to leave our egos a little bit to the side because that's something that's going to benefit us. So when you think about the benefits that you're gonna get from what you're doing, uh, it's possible for you to start believing in what you want to believe instead of just focusing on what you don't want to believe. Because we tend to sabotage ourselves naturally.
Yes, we do.
So I think trying is the best way. I mean, it's not going to be perfect at the first time, but keep on trying, don't give up. And I think that you're going to get there eventually.
Okay, don't give up, keep trying. All right. And how to learn vocabulary. People just read a big list of words, then they write the meanings, and then they try to memorize it. But next day, they forget it. So, what is the best way to learn vocabularies?
I think the best way to learn vocabulary is to connect the word that you were learning with an image in your mind or
Okay.
something related. Like imagine a situation in your mind. So, for example, if you're learning an Indian languages, like you speak Indian languages. So, if you are learning Malayalam, for example, you
Mhm.
want to connect or Hindi, you're connect somebody with something that is beautiful. Or if you're learning German, you want to connect Liebe with a heart. So you're going to imagine in your head what connects the image that connects with that word. So and you're going to try to make up your own text with these words that you learned. So we're going to revise the words first, and they're not going to be completely in your mind at first. So for that, you need to, like when you revised the lesson, you're going to pick up the words, the new words, and you're going to make texts out of it. Like you're going to create your own story or your own
All right.
text out of
Yeah,
what you learned.
that's great. That's great. So, when people speak a new language, they make mistakes in pronunciation. So, how to improve pronunciation?
Great question.
Yeah.
Well, I think the pronunciation is really important. Many people don't pay attention to this. I don't know if many find it important, but as for music, for example, I really pay attention to sounds of words, and I think that that's how we can improve. Actually, we can improve by imitating the speaker that we wanna sound like. So if we listen to the speaker and we try to imitate the sounds, eventually we're gonna sound like them. But also the internet is full of opportunities, so we can meet people there. We can ask them how, like we can ask them to talk to us in their native language, in our target language, and we can step by step improve our speaking. We cannot improve the speaking without improving the listening. We first have to listen very well to spot the details in the words
So,
and the sounds that differ them from our own language, so we can reflect and change our tongue. uh, yeah, it's a little bit difficult, but it's fun if you think it's fun
so,
for you.
so, does it come naturally, or we have to practice on this?
We have to practice. It doesn't come naturally, we have to
Yeah,
practice.
yeah, that's what I see. And what is the best way to speak correct English? We can learn grammar, the drills, the exercises, but still we make mistakes and we speak incorrect language. So, what is the best way to speak correct language? Like, for example, if I'm learning English, how can I speak correct English without learning grammar?
Without learning grammar,
Yeah.
paying attention.
Okay.
I think most of the mistakes in anything, it's because people don't pay attention. They don't pay attention to the details. They don't pay attention to what other people like, to what how native speakers speak. They are not paying attention. They bring filters only the main, like the repetitive, like what repeats often. So only if you don't pay attention, if you're just listening passively, you're not gonna improve. But it's possible to improve without grammar if you simply say, okay, he's saying that way, so I'm supposed to say it the same way. Like instead of just trying to give your way to the language, before you try to speak in your own way in your language, you have to first learn how native speakers speak that language, so you can change the language in your own way. Without that, you're going to commit many mistakes because you're going to be want to be independent and you want to create a new language out of the language you're learning, so it creates a lot of mess. But if we pay attention, like to the text we are reading, to the people we are talking to, I think it's possible to cover the mistakes and start speaking correctly.
Right. So we can imitate the natives and we can copy them.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Okay, that's wonderful. And what is
Okay.
your experience? You speak 5 languages. And how did you come so far? How did you learn all of them?
Well, with passion, I think that's the first. My tip is that you have to love what you're doing, that you have to find it fun. It doesn't have to be something that you're putting work to. It has to be something that you're doing for fun, like playing games and football and drinking with friends. It has to be, you have to have the same feeling as what you feel when you're doing these. If you're not having this feeling, if you're feeling that it's boring, so you're not gonna go so far. So as for me, I've always liked to learn new things, and this helped me with language learning as well. I love the sound of new languages, and I kind of got addicted to it. Like, I love listening to different languages. When people sit beside me and they speak in a different language, I don't feel uncomfortable like other people. Like, other people feel like, oh, they're speaking another language and I don't understand anything. But for me, it's like, oh, great, I'm not getting anything. It's so exciting. I want to get it now. So I go after the language because I want to know what they're talking about instead of just saying, okay, I don't understand what you're saying. Stay away. You see?
All right. So you are always passionate and excited to learn.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, exactly,
All right.
exactly.
Okay. Well, I am so amazed by you and by your talent. So what is your way of teaching? How do you teach?
Oh, thank you. It depends on the person. As I told you, it's really personalized. My lessons are really personalized. So it depends on what the person wants to improve. Some people want to improve pronunciation because they are is too strong, like like
Hmm.
people those who speak Arabic and Russian, they have a very heavy accent and they want to soften it. And other people, they are beginners, they want to begin to know how to acquire the language in a better way. So it depends on the person. I like to adapt to the person. I don't like to have a lesson ready. I'm really flexible. So first I get to know the person, their needs, so we can make up a plan for them.
Okay, that's great. And how long does it take to learn a new language?
It depends on the learner. It depends on
Okay.
how much you want it. I
Hmm.
think it's really relative. For
Hmm.
me, it took years to learn
Okay.
English, for example. My native language is Portuguese. It took
Hmm.
me years to learn English at this, like to speak like this. But because I was kind of lazy, let's say, I started when I was 11 years old. So I was just, but for French, for example, as I was more mature, it took me 3 years to speak fluently. And Spanish, it only took 6 months. So it depends on the language that your target language, because if the target language is alike to your native language, it's going to be really fast. But if your target language is really different, it's going to take longer, obviously, because you have no connection with it. But it depends on your efforts. Depends on how much you want to put it daily. Like you want to put it into the effort daily.
Hmm. Okay, all right. So it depends on the learner and the time they put in.
Yes,
Great.
exactly.
And I often hear people, they say that I'm too young, too old, and now I cannot learn this and that. So I want to ask you, is it too late to learn a new language?
Never.
Never.
That's all connected with those limitations that we talked about in the beginning.
Mhm.
When you limit yourself, these are just thoughts. I mean, everything is possible for those who believe. That's true, and that's
Mhm.
proved by science. If you believe, we can achieve it naturally. But we see people around us saying these things, and we just repeat them as if it's true, but it's not true. If you believe that you can learn, you can. An older person who believes that they can learn much faster than a younger one that believes that they cannot. So it's really about how your mind is wired to start learning. It's not about your age or anything.
Wow, that's great. And what are the benefits of learning new languages?
Many benefits. Well, oh wow. For me, the best thing about learning new languages is that you get out of your box. Like you're so used to your own culture, your own language that and those thinking patterns that belongs to that culture and that language, that when you switch languages, you notice that there's more to it. So if you are a knowledge lover, you're gonna know more about the world, you're gonna know more about yourself. And I think that's the most important thing that exists. Like, you're gonna share with other people, you're gonna be able to help more people around the world, to help yourself and know everything more about everything.
Yeah. I also believe that when we learn a new language, it makes our minds more creative. And we have more opportunities in business, jobs, career. We can connect with more people. And
Yeah.
after we learn a second language, it becomes easier for us to learn the third one because we have been there through a learning process and we know how to do that. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's very true.
Uh,
That's very true.
I'm really inspired by you.
Ah, that's great. Me too. I'm really inspired by you.
That's great. And when somebody loses the motivation after trying so many efforts, how can they get back to learning?
Well, you have to connect yourself to why you started. I think we've read about this from other sources. Like, they always say that we should connect with our purpose. But sometimes this is not enough. Like, sometimes connecting to our purpose is not enough. Sometimes we need some external stimulation. So we need to find friends who speak that in that language to stimulate us to speak with us. I suffered a lot while learning Russian because of this. Russian is really different from the languages I speak and I spoke before learning it. So I suffered with this. And the stimulation I needed came from people who knew the language and who were open to help me improve. So I think that if you're connected to why you're doing this and with people that want to help you, I think this is gonna make you go back to where you want it to be.
Okay, all right. And one more question I want to ask you is that what about the people who are so busy in their study and life and career? How can they learn a language if they are so busy?
Well, good question. I think that, yeah, many people struggle with that, like with time. Learning a language doesn't, like, the thing about learning languages is not really about how many hours you put in, is actually how often you do it. So if you just have 30 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day to focus on the language you're learning, that's going to be really helpful as long as you're doing it every day. So I know that everyone is busy, but 10 minutes, 20 minutes should be to focus on the language, because the language will also help you in your future. Not only the job you're having now, not only the other studies, but also the language you're learning is going to help you. So also relating what you're doing daily with the language you're learning. So if you're a business person or if you are a musician, connect with other musicians who speak the language, your target language. Connect with business people who speak your target language, so they can help you improve in the language as well as in your business or in other things that you want to improve.
That's great. And I see when people they start reading books or newspapers, in the beginning they don't understand, and after reading for a while they feel so tired, like, oh my god, I cannot get it, and then they give up. So what is your best advice for the learners who are trying to learn reading?
Good question. I think that, let me say, reading, connecting the dots is really important. I mean, the short words, they are very important, the connectives, like this, that, although, like, however, prepositions, stuff like that. Like, if you learn these connectives, it's going to really help you. Like, you have to memorize. You have to memorize these words. You have to repeat. You go in the beginning, we have to translate the words into our mother tongue, otherwise we're going to be able to get them. But the more you read and the more you translate, the better you get. So it's really about persistence and doing it daily. Like, I was doing the same with Malayalam, and it's a really different language from all languages. And it's fine. If you find it fun, I think it's the key. Like, eventually you will memorize that nyanda is crab. Your mind will just do it naturally. You don't have to overthink. Oh my god, I'm not getting it. just leave it to the mind. The mind knows what it does. So live it naturally. It's gonna happen.
Okay, all right. So, well, that's been great and a pleasure. So, uh, before we go, I want to ask you if the audience or the people watching this video or this interview, if they want to follow you, how can they follow you?
Okay, my YouTube channel is Anna Shantus,
Mm-hmm.
and my Instagram is Shantus Clara or the Fox. You can write it there.
All right. And any last words for the audience?
Well, for the audience, thank you for watching us, and it's a pleasure to be here with you, a so smart guy as you. I've always admired you. You're a Virgo, so I'm really into astrology. So I know that you're great at everything you do, and thank you so much for this honor to be here with you. And it's my pleasure to try to help everyone out there.
Wow, that's great. And it's been my pleasure talking to you, and I'm so inspired by you, and so is the audience, and I'm really grateful to you. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye.